Good morning, friends and neighbors. This is Steve. Well, we're coming up on Veterans Day, and every year at this time, I think a lot about veterans. I think about veterans all the time. I was a veteran myself, but I'd like to start and tell you the story of what my father experienced aboard the USS West Virginia on December 7th, 1941. And what happened around 8 a.m. that Sunday morning. It was sunny. It was beautiful. I know what it's like being over in Hawaii in December. I was there in 1963, 1964, and 1965. So I'm going to tell the story of my father back then on that day as he told the story. And let's give it a try. I was on the third deck, heading for the anchor windlass room when the first torpedo hit the USS West Virginia. From there, more bombing and torpedoes when all hell broke loose. Men in the brig were screaming for help. I could not respond. There was no time to check where the Marine Guard was with the keys to the cells. Evidently, he had already been hit. The men in the brig were engulfed in water and perished. I worked my way up to the second deck with water up to my waist. By this time, I came to a hatch with the manhole still open, leading to the main deck. I barely made it out of the escape hatch and was ordered by Lieutenant Stark to close that hatch. Close that hatch, said Lieutenant Stark. The men were still down there, but it was too late for them. That was the first time I heard that the Japs were attacking our fleet in the whole island. I watched one of my best shipmates, my best friend, get himself killed, Roy Powers. I loved Roy. We were buddies. We did everything together. He stuck his head out of the port side close to the ship filter shop. And about that time, another torpedo hit and the concussion blew his head off. His body fell back on the deck, headless. After that, it was a matter of surviving. There was no defense. The ship was already listing to port at about 35 degrees angle. I worked myself up further on the deck and observed the commanding officer, Captain Mervyn S. Benyon, heading for the bridge. The strafing and the bombing was still on. When I arrived on the main deck going forward to the number 1 turret, strafing still going on, I dived under the overhang of the turret. Communications was out, so by word of mouth heard the order, "All hands abandon ship." Captain Benyon was lying on the wing of the bridge, mortally wounded. He asked the doc what kind of chance he had and was told, "Not much, Captain." Then Captain Benyon said, "Leave me on the bridge, and this is my last order. All hands abandon ship." He died right after that order. After that, I jumped over the side to starboard, swam to Ford Island. Us guys that made it were standing on the beach, watching the USS Arizona blow up sky high. What a helpless feeling, he thought. I had torn my white uniform up to use as emergency treatment bandages for the wounded. Anyway, to make a long story short, we dashed across the field under strafing conditions to shelter. In the BOQ, we were able to shower in there and salvage clothes from the lockers and helped organize the harbor patrol. And it was with that duty for a few months. Then assigned to the new construction battalion with the 5th Amphibious Force, hitting the beaches of the South Pacific all the way, then finally Iwo Jima in Okinawa until the peace treaty was signed aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo, Japan. People like myself could go on and on and on, but that would take a book. Vernon H. Sparks, December 7th, 1941, Battleship USS West Virginia. I'll be back tomorrow morning, if I can, to tell the rest of the story and a little bit more about my father and my relationship with my father, and some more about his experience in the U.S. Navy from 1936 and during the World War II, before he came home in June of 1945. This is Steve Sparks, Mindfulness Meditation Moments from Little Whale Cove, Oregon.